Lightning and ice clash once again in what will surely be a battle of unepic proportions. We're teaching you how to bind the Stormbinder and show Blizzard that just because shamans are amazing this patch, doesn't mean we won't take one down if it's a raid boss. Hagara, like many heroic encounters in Dragon Soul, is not too different from her normal mode version. She remains a 3-phase repeating fight and is still based entirely around execution and proper handling of mechanics. On heroic she has around 154 million HP and spawns no killable adds. You'll want to bring 1 to 2 tanks, 5 to 7 healers, and a balanced mix of DPS. Like all of our heroic guides, this guide will assume that you have done the fight on the normal difficulty, and as such are familiar with normal spells and tactics. For more in-depth coverage of the fight as a whole, please refer to our normal mode strategy guide. On heroic, Hagara has 2 new spells, one during her lightning phase and another during her frost phase. During lightning phase, Hagara would use storm pillars. This places a faint circle on the ground that explodes for moderate nature damage after a few seconds. Simply move out of this effect if you notice it under you. In frost phase, the boss will debuff random players with Frost Flake. This spell reduces their movement speed by 10% and stacks quickly over time. When the effect ends or is dispelled, the player will leave a patch of frost on the ground, reducing the movement speed of all players in the area by half. Beyond that, Hagara has no new spells, but it should be pointed out that she will ice block 1 additional player during each phase 1, and her Ice Lance will now cause a stacking frost damage debuff on its target. Neither of these will cause much issue, but let's discuss these changes further in the strategy section. We'll start with phase 1. Overall, phase 1 will be done just as it is on normal mode. Focus Assault and Ice Tombs remain mostly unchanged, and the raid should deal with these spells the same. Ice Lance may be much more threatening since it will deal increasing damage to each target it remains on. To combat this, have players rotate into the beams to keep it from targeting one player for too long. Your raid does not need to build a rotation for this. Simply having a few ranged players and healers move into and out of the beam on occasion should easily be enough. Overall raid positioning will be quite simple, as all players can freely stack in the middle on the boss. Alternatively, your raid could choose to have the tank drag the boss toward one side of the circle in preparation for the next phase, but both positions will work just as well. The lightning and frost phases both have multiple viable strategies, but we'll cover what we feel is the most reliable and easiest to repeat. During frost phase, the goal is to destroy the 4 outer crystals as quickly as possible to end the phase. The crystals are of course on the outsides of the platform, and the raid must run to avoid the ice walls. Players standing in the middle of the platform will take mild ticking damage from watery entrenchment, but on the upside they are not forced to move due to ice waves. For our strategy, we will be using this to our advantage. We'll be splitting the raid into 2 groups. Group A consists of melee DPS and 1 to 2 healers with Dispel Magic, while Group B consists of ranged DPS and the rest of the healers. Group A will be tasked with running around the outside of the platform as one group. As they do this, they will DPS down all crystals that they can while staying ahead of the ice walls. Players in this group who are afflicted with the Frostflake debuff must run to the far outer edge of the platform quickly so the healers can dispel them away from the group's path. Players will need to be quick about using movement speed spells or buffs such as Sprint or Intervene to make their way back to the group should they fall too far behind. Group B has a somewhat easier job. This group will need to stack in the center of the room and DPS the crystals from there. They will have the advantage of being able to stand still due to the lack of ice waves, but healers will need to work hard keeping Group B alive through watery entrenchment. This is a good opportunity to use area-specific raid cooldowns such as Spirit Link Totem or Power Word Barrier to ease the healing. Ideally, with one group running around the platform and the other standing in the middle, the crystal should fall very quickly, allowing the raid to go back into phase 1 fast. For the most part, the lightning phase will be handled just as it is on normal mode, though the way your raid chooses to connect the conductors may differ. We prefer to use the cross or plus model. By killing the add at one conductor and having the raid already spread into a plus with each edge aligned with another conductor, we're able to spread the charge almost instantaneously, ending the lightning phase shortly after the add dies. This is helped by assigning each player to a spot or at least to a side of the cross and making sure the player is there as or before the add dies. The added heroic element Storm Pillar will not hinder the strategy too much. As stated before, any player noticing this circle under their feet should quickly move out of it. Don't hesitate to use widespread raid cooldowns such as Divine Guardian or Rallying Cry during the lightning phase to ease the healing a bit. If done correctly, the lightning phase will end just as quickly as it started and your raid will be back into phase 1. Remember that upon returning to phase 1, Hagara will be temporarily stunned and vulnerable to extra damage. Try to save heroism and DPS cooldowns for these burn opportunities. Because the fight does not differ substantially from normal mode, it is not too difficult to learn. Your raid may need a while to become accustomed to the increased damage and healing requirements, but give each attempt a good try as you may find this boss to be easier than expected. If you found this helpful or informative, remember to bookmark us at LearntoRaid.com, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitch TV and Twitter. As always, we hope this guide was helpful, and we'll see you at the next boss.
I wasn't feeling so good. I just didn't feel like playing anymore. So I went home, and I got all comfy and cozy and all scrunched up in front of my phonograph. And I sat there and I closed